Hello everybody, welcome to Dominions 5, my name is Mew. This time around I'm going to be playing a multiplayer mod nation game, and I'll be playing as the nation of Uuodeouda. This is a game called Battle Data, and the intent was to run a couple of new mod nations against each other, see how they stack up, see if they're balanced or imbalanced, if anything's broken. So there might be some crazy stuff in this game, there might be some completely busted stuff in this game. There might be some stuff that just crashes the server, I have no idea. But you can watch and go on this journey of discovery with me. There are a total of 11 mod nations in this game, and there's also just regular old MA man, who I guess is the control group. There's my nation of Uuodeouda, which is made by me. And in addition to that, there's also DM Dracket, made by Uuodeouda. Garuda made by Onard, Lemnos made by Arkvasti, La Mancha by Speleothing, Takin made by J. Burton, Selenia made by Arkvasti, MA and LA Kazia made by Ramk, Kirkastaculus, which is also made by me, and Nazca, which is made by Uuodeouda. I think that's like, I guess it's MA Nazca or so. It's some modded version of Nazca. I've never actually played the regular Nazca, so I don't really know what's different about it. But it's definitely a mod nation. In addition to the mod nations, this game will also run the J. Burton balance mod. And for what it's worth, it's played in Dominions 5.44. It's running on a map that was generated using, I think, Map Nuke, which I don't think I've played on before, but I'll put a link to all that crap in the description so you can check out the mods, the nations, and the map generator if you would like to. Since Uuodeouda is a mod nation, it does have a selection of modded pretender chassis you can choose from, so I thought I'd quickly just show these off before I talk about the god that I chose. We've got some immobiles, some titans, some monsters, and a couple of humans. The custom human is the High Priest of the Fall. Quite a good mage, he comes with 3 paths. New paths are 10, costs 110 points, always spawns with 1d3 viable red one colonies. I quite like taking these guys. You can play Uuodeouda with a kind of very low level Rainbow Bless to help buff up your Gardeners. Gardeners are sacred units that are not very good, but they have sticks and stones, which is a weird ranged attack that has 2 attacks. So you can take like a bunch of like poison weapons, withering weapons, and all that stuff to really buff up the sticks and stones, which is kind of a fun way to play. And this guy's also useful because then you can site search with them as well. Uuodeouda really likes to have a lot of gems being generated as early as possible, so having a guy with lots of paths you can send out to do some searching on turn 2 is very good. For giant monsters, we've got the Will of the Mire. This is this guy's kind of like a Vastness in that he's a very, very powerful monster, but he's dormant locked, so you have to take him dormant at best. You can't use him as an expander, but if you just want a guy to wake up on like turn 12 or whatever to help defend against an early rush, he's pretty good. He's got regen, he's an ethereal trampler with recuperation, 180 hit points, pretty good paths as well. You probably won't use blood much on Uuodeouda because they're a pub kill nation, so it's kind of hard to hunt blood slaves if you're killing everyone. But that's a cool monster. You can also choose the Bashful Admirer. You can actually summon unit versions of these guys later on if you go up Conjuration. But as a pretender guy, he's pretty good. He comes with water and death magic. He's an invisible assassin. And assassins with death magic and 40 hit points are pretty hard to deal with. We have recruitable assassins in our cap, and I'll be using them to expand with. You could definitely do the same sort of thing with this guy. And he's very cheap as well. He's only 90 points. So that's an option. Titan, we've got the Hungry Prince. This is also something that you can summon later on if you go up Conjuration. I think you get these as commanders actually. I probably won't be using them because I think they're just busted, and I think it's a mistake to give things corpse eater that gives them hit points. This guy gets 50 hit points every time he eats corpses, and we generate a lot of corpses. And then if you put like, this guy's a pretender, so he'd have regen from the bless I'm going to take. Yeah, it'd be a bit ridiculous. I think they probably need to be nerfed, but if you play in this version of Uuodeouda, yeah, check them out, they're pretty fun. You can get them up to thousands of hit points quite easily. In generally though, they're good for sieging, they're good for pillaging, and they kill a lot of people, which is actually quite useful on Uuodeouda, because you want to kill your population. And then we have a few immobiles that are, I mean, they're immobiles. Here's a rock. You want to waste of a rock? Go for it. How about a plant? This is an immortal plant that cures disease. Costs a bit more. Starts with N3 though. And then there's also the alien tree, which is what I chose. So this is Homeworking Business Solutions, the Writhing Willow. The Writhing Willow comes with a little bit of nature and earth and water. I put the nature up to 7 and the earth up to 5. I really wanted to have a lot of nature and earth magic on my god to cast globals. I'd really like to get Mother Oak if I can, and the nature will help with that. And then if we do have a lot of nature gem income, we also have a national global called Ecomorphosis, which requires earth and nature magic. So in theory, our Writhing Willow can cast both of those things. Whether or not we get to, whether or not we survive long enough to do that, remains to be seen, but that's the intention with taking those high paths. It also gives us quite a good bless as well. Regen and fire and shock resistance is kind of a classic bless, I think. It's pretty useful on a lot of nations and on a lot of units. In our case, we don't start with many good sacreds that we can recruit, so the bless might not be too useful in that regard. But through the mid-game, we'll start to cast a ritual called Strange Bedfellows, which will give us lots and lots of sacred units, and some of those will benefit quite a lot from this bless. So it's very much for mid-game stuff. In terms of scales, I went with Dominion 10 and Death 3, which is, I think those are kind of standard on this nation. It depends what you want to get away with, but in general we benefit from pushing our Dominion and killing our population because they encourage the development of our nation's sites. And so I just quite like having maximum Dominion if I can. You don't have to do that, but it does benefit site generation. Other than that, we don't need too much gold, so turmoil and luck is fun. We do want a little bit of gold though, so let's put a little bit into productivity and put magic up to 1, because in the very early game we should have quite good research, because we'll start with an awake god, and we also start with 2 mages on turn 1. So from turn 1 we'll get a ton of research done very quickly. But through the mid game we struggle to recruit mages because we have no national mages at all. We do have mages that we can recruit from forests and coasts, which I guess is technically national mages, but they are terrain locked. And they're not very good mages either. The forest mages only have 5 research and the coastal 7, I believe. So a little bit of magic will help us keep our research up through the mid game, I think. That's quite good. Not much else to say really. I put cold up to 2. Uuodeouda liked cold 1. I put it up to 2 mostly just to help protect us a little bit from ongoing fire damage if someone invades us, because a lot of our units and stuff are vulnerable to fire, including the god. The god will actually benefit from the fire resist bless actually in our Dominion. Pretty much any unit we have that's red is vulnerable to fire, so you'll see this a lot. So cold helps a little bit in that if we do get invaded by someone doing fire magic, I'm pretty sure cold scales help mitigate burning damage, like fires get extinguished quicker. And I think it'll also help fatigue out mages that use fire magic, maybe? Something like that. But that's the reasoning behind the scale choices anyway. That's the god, those are the scales, that's the nation. Don't worry if you're a bit lost, because I mean, Uuodeouda is a bit of a weird nation, and they are a pop-killing free spawn nation as well. But I will explain things as we go. And in general, these videos will probably be a little bit longer than my usual videos, because usually I just like to kind of get through turns and just show gameplay and don't really like to talk about much, because I don't really see these videos as tutorials. They're just kind of, you know, watching someone play the game. But since this is a mod nation, I realize I'll have to do a bit more explaining because people won't be familiar with this nation at all. And so with that in mind, some of the early videos especially might be a bit longer than usual and probably a bit slower than usual as well. But I'm just going to spend a bit more time explaining things. If you're not interested in mod nation games, I have recently signed up to join a game as Flagra. So that will be a more normal playthrough game if that's more your speed. Yeah, and I've no idea how long this is going to last for. But hopefully you enjoy it, hopefully it's fun to watch, and hopefully it's not too boring. I've had a few technical issues recording this series, and it's been a while since I've done a series. It's been a while since I've talked, to be honest, because I'm in COVID lockdown. So some of the early videos are probably a bit awkward, but I'll get back into the swing of things. And the audio quality and the visual quality, I think, reaches a happy place. Some of the early videos are a bit rough, especially the audio, but I've done what I can to clean them up. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you on turn 1.